Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. I hope all is well. 2 days away now from Arsenal returning to action in the Europa League. We've got the Premier League coming up the next couple of days. Of course, Arsenal not involved in that. They were due to play Manchester City at the Emirates. That game got called off because the PSV game got rescheduled, all because of the Queen's death last month or whenever that was. Trying to work out if it's a good thing or not for that Arsenal Man City game to be called off. In one way, you look at it and think, is this a good time to play Manchester City? They've just lost. But then you look at how Arsenal are at the moment. You thought they definitely looked tired against Leeds, especially in that second half at Ellen Road. You've got to think Man City are would want a big response after losing at Anfield. So maybe it's a good time not to play them. I mean, who knows? It's all hypothetical. But anyway, focus is on PSV for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta speaking to the press tomorrow at London Colney ahead of that game. So we'll get all the latest updates from him on what's going on in terms of fitness, injuries. Well, I say we'll get the latest updates. He doesn't really give any updates on them, does he? But you know what I mean. There is also a bit of open training ahead of that as well at London Colney for the media to watch. Going to be an interesting game. The two top teams in that group in the Europa League. Arsenal 2 points ahead of PSV. PSV unbeaten. Arsenal unbeaten, but Arsenal have won all three. PSV have won two, and they drew at home to Bodo. So that's why they're 2 points behind Arsenal. Victory for Arsenal guarantees qualification. It doesn't win the group. That'd move them 5 points clear of PSV with 2 games remaining. So, it all but guarantees them winning the group. But they would still need a point away at PSV in the next fixture. Or if something goes wrong there, they'd have to obviously beat Zurich at home on the final game, which you would think they're going to do. Zurich have been a bit of the whipping boys in this group so far. PSV beat them 5-0 last time out. So a victory is going to all but guarantee Arsenal not just qualification but top in the group as well, and that is very, very big for Arsenal, very big for Mikel Arteta, because it means 2 less games during the second half of the season, because if you win the group you go straight through to the round of 16. If you come second you go through, but you have to play in the round of 32 and have 2 extra fixtures squeezed into what is already going to be a mad packed fixture list after the World Cup. So there's a big sort of carrot there hanging for Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta 100% will want to take that, and that is why I think he's going to go strong for this game on Thursday. Now, Arsenal do look tired, no doubt about it. They struggled, they suffered, as Mikel Arteta said, against Leeds in that second half. They've got another away game in the Premier League on Sunday, so a very short turnaround at Southampton. But having said that, I think he's going to go strong for this game against PSV. He'll make some changes, no doubt about it. But I think if you're expecting a massive, 11 changes for this one, I just don't think he's going to do it. We saw how strong he went for the Bodo game as well. And in the last game over in Norway, I think he's going to, even though Arsenal are at home this time, I think he's going to go equally as strong with that. I mean, there'll be some players. I think Nketiah will start, for example. I don't think Jesus will start. But, I wouldn't at all surprise me to see Gabriel starting again, even Thomas Partey starting again. Arsenal will want to win this game. And PSV are no mugs by any means. I mean, you look at how they've started the Dutch division. They're only, I think, 1 point behind Ajax in second. They've played 10. They've won 8. Very similar to Arsenal's record at the start of the season. They've scored 35 goals, so they score a lot of goals. PSV, of course, managed by Ruud van Nistelrooy, so you're going to have that whole sort of narrative rumbling on as well, which would be very interesting if Martin Keown's standing pitch side doing stuff for BT Sport. They got some good players. Gakpo, of course, was heavily linked with Arsenal during the summer, and plenty of English teams looked for at one point like he was going to go to Leeds, and it looked like he was going to go to Southampton. He ended up staying at PSV, and I'm sure he'll certainly be on the move at the end of this season, one way or the other, whether it's to the Premier League or not. I'm not too sure if there was ever any real significant interest from Arsenal in Gakpo. It wasn't something that I heard, but he was certainly a name who was doing the rounds. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how Mikel takes this one. But I do think he's going to go strong. I think he's going to be looking at getting this group done and dusted, get it out of the way, and then you can start resting players. And of course, Arsenal got some more tricky away games coming up in the Premier League, including Chelsea in not too long a time. So he won't want to be having a worry about getting the Europa League sorted around that fixture. He'd want to get it done as early as possible. And so I think it's going to be a strong lineup. Let me know what you guys think. Who should start in this game on Thursday at night? What sort of lineup would you like to see Mikel Arteta go for against PSV? You look at who he's going to come out. Look, Matt Turner's going to be in goal. We know that. I think Matt Turner his stock is rising a little bit, which is good because there was undoubtedly questions over Matt Turner when he came in. He didn't have the best of pre-season. He looked a bit shaky. But in the last 2 Europa League games, he's played well, no doubt about it. Both home and away against Bodo. 2 clean sheets, made some big saves in both of those games. And not just his saves either, because we know he's a good shot stopper. That was the whole thing when he arrived. He was known as a very good shot stopper. It was everything else that he sort of goes into being a goalkeeper, especially going into being a goalkeeper in a Mikel Arteta side where you're so, there's so much reliance on you to play the ball out from the back, be comfortable with it at your feet. All things that were slightly questionable when it came to Matt Turner, but I thought in the last game he looked a lot better in that regard. Mikel Arteta spoke about it after the game as well, saying that he's improving all the time in that, and he definitely looks impressive. So I think he'll definitely start. Ramsdale will get a rest, but then you look at it and it wouldn't surprise me if Ben White starts. Like I said, Gabriel, I think he got a rest against Bodo last time. I think he might well come back in for this one and play on the left-hand side, probably alongside Rob Holding. I think Kieran Tierney definitely starts at left back. I wouldn't be surprised, certainly, if one of either Granit Xhaka or Thomas Partey starts. So far we've seen Sambi Lokonga play in that midfield role. It might be Sambi again. You think Sambi will probably be a bit annoyed if he's not going to play because this is the position that he plays in. But you could play both because I think Sambi's better as a number 8 midfielder anyway rather than number 6, the Thomas Partey role. But if it is Sambi playing in that Partey role, I think Granit Xhaka will come back into the side. He played Vieira and Odegaard in the away game in Norway. I don't think he'll do that again. I think he'll go back to either Sambi as a holding midfielder and then have Vieira and Xhaka ahead of him, or have Partey as a holding midfielder and then maybe Sambi and Vieira ahead of him. So I think one of those two will definitely play, which will make the midfield an awful lot stronger. And then I think one of either Saka or Martinelli will start again on the flanks. I don't think we'll be seeing a Marquinhos and Reece Nelson start in this one. I think he'll go with one of the sort of big goal getters that he has from out wide in Saka or Martinelli. Saka started against Bodo. Martinelli got a bit of a rest, so it might mean that Martinelli gets the start this time and Saka gets a bit of a rest in midweek, and then you will play Nketiah up front. I can't imagine Jesus is going to start this one. I think he'll get another rest and he'll be on the bench, no doubt about it, and the bench will be absolutely packed with the regular starters in the Premier League who aren't starting this game, as Mikel looks to get the deal done, so get the win done. So that's the team I'm kind of expecting when you look at who could well play. And yeah, it's going to be a big night. I'm looking forward to it. PSV will bring a lot of fans. They're a big name in world football. You don't always get that at this stage of the competition. Obviously, they're not a fantastic side like they used to be, but they're still a strong side. They'll bring a big away support, and I think it'll be a game. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Remember, any of you who are going, don't get caught out. It's not the usual 8 p.m. kickoff time. It's 6 p.m. because of the whole reason it was rescheduled, and because there's other Premier League games kicking off at 7:45 and stuff. So it's a 6 p.m. kickoff. So if you're heading to the Emirates, do not get caught out. Get there nice and early, because I can guarantee you it is going to be rammed out there, because lots of people are going to be rushing there, sort of finishing work at 5 and trying to get to the stadium for 6. I bet you the turnstiles outside are going to be heaving at around kickoff time, and it's going to be empty for the first 20 minutes in that stadium. I can see it. It is always normally on a Europa League night anyway, and that's at 8 o'clock. So at 6 o'clock, it's going to be mad. So yeah, get yourself to the game nice and early. Okay, Ballon d'Or last night, deserving winner in terms of the men's. Karim Benzema, what season he had, just incredible. What he did with Real Madrid, the goals he scored, basically single-handedly almost winning in the Champions League. Just fantastic season for Benzema, absolutely deserved that. The other two awards, certainly from an Arsenal point of view and from an English point of view, you're probably feeling a little bit hard done by it potentially. I mean, I don't get Bukayo Saka. He finished 8th in the sort of the Copper Trophy, which is for 21s and under, and you look at that and I just think it's very hard to justify Bukayo Saka finishing 8th in that. And look, I know it's basically a popularity contest, and I do feel like people playing in the Premier League get a bit of a hard done by when it comes to these award ceremonies. If Saka's in the Real Madrid or Barcelona team, believe me, he's finishing higher than 8th, put it that way. I mean, it doesn't really matter at the grand scheme of things, but Gavi won it. Not sure about that. I mean, yeah, obviously Camavinga, you had Musiala, you had Bellingham was 4th. I know Bellingham's done great things for Dortmund. Nuno Mendes was 5th ahead of Saka, who was 8th. You got Garvadal was 6th, joint 6th with Ryan Gravenberch. I just don't know. I mean, what Saka has been doing it in the Premier League, the hardest league in the world. you look at his numbers, his goal contributions, he's starting every single game. You know, he helped England to the Euros final. I know that was the summer before, but still, it's just... I'm just not sure you can really justify Bukayo Saka finishing 8th. And I bet he's not too bothered, to be fair. And a lot of people aren't too bothered. But I just think, yeah, so if Saka's not playing in the Premier League, he's not playing for Arsenal, if he's playing for Barca or Real Madrid, he finishes a hell of a lot higher than 8th. I think it's... I thought that was a strange one. And the women's one, look, that was tough on Beth Mead. She finished second, which is fantastic for Beth. She was only 1 point off winning it as well. It was Pateas won it again, the second year in a row. Fair play. It's caused a lot of debate, certainly over here, certainly amongst Arsenal fans, because obviously she wasn't a part of the Euros. She was injured before that. She's missed a large chunk because of the injury. Beth Mead, top scorer at the Euros, player of the tournament at the Euros. England won the Euros. She had a great season for Arsenal, albeit she didn't win the title. When you look at Pateas, she won the title with Barca, who had that incredible season, won, you know, all of their games, got to the Champions League final. She scored all those goals to get to Champions League final. They lost to Lyon, but at least she got them there. So, I mean, you look at the numbers behind her season, last season, and yeah, it's fantastic. But you just kind of feel in a tournament year, what Beth Mead did at that tournament, I think she would have been a deserving winner as well. But when you actually look at the rankings and how close it was, there was just 1 point in it. I mean, Sam Kerr was third, and she was way off. I think she got like 50 odd votes, and what did Beth got 163 votes, and Pateas got 164. So it was that close to Beth winning. And look, it's still fantastic for her to come second in the Ballon. When you come in second behind someone like Pateas, then you know it's saying something, because she's such an incredible player and such an incredible striker in such an incredible Barcelona team. But yeah, it still feels a little bit harsh and for Beth to miss out, given what she did in the Euros for England. But you know, I'm sure she's going to be pretty happy with second as well. It's just the Saka one for me. I don't get how Bukayo Saka can only be ranked 8th when it comes to the top players 21 and under across Europe, especially when you look at the players who finished above him. I'm just not sure about that one. I think he needs to be much, much higher. I just don't think Saka gets the respect that he deserves. But hey, that's my view. Maybe it's slightly blinkered because of the team I follow. But let me know what you guys think about anything you've seen heard in this video. Who should play against PSV? Who should be rested? What do you think of the Ballon d'Or rankings? Anything like that, let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Have a very good day.